What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Good weekend. This past weekend, I'd say we had some fun on the channel. Did Spawncast, did some cool gameplay videos, and then of course we talked about the Dreamcast. So if you missed any of that, go check it out. It was a lot of fun to do, but we have a ton of stuff to talk about today. A lot of financial stuff, some lawsuits going on. Oh yeah, and that game called Dragon Quest XI, it launched over in Japan, so let's get started. So first up today, we have to talk about Capcom. And I know Capcom's been very weird right now because there's a lot of gamers out there who see them maybe leaving Nintendo consoles. We've seen it a lot, right? Where they're releasing a lot of stuff. Monster Hunter makes a jump over to the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC, but not Nintendo's console. But it looks like after their financial report that came out, they have almost no choice now but to start backing Nintendo and Sony consoles. So what happened was Capcom put out their financials. They said things like Resident Evil 7 did very well for them, which I can agree with because that was like the most played game on YouTube, when it came out. People were playing it like crazy, super popular game for Let's Plays, but even their back, kind of their catalog of games that came out that have been digital for a while, games you can download, for example, the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 re-release they did, things like that, have done well for them. And then they talk about Street Fighter V, which has not done well for them at all. It's on PC, it's on PS4, but despite that massive user base, it just crossed 1.7 million units shipped. That's shipped, by the way. Kind of a problem there, considering you see something like ARMS, for example, which people are comparing it because they're technically both fighting games, even though they're different type of fighting games. But ARMS has already moved past 1.18 million units, and that's through June. That's not even counting July. So yeah, ARMS is going to pass Street Fighter V, no question. And really, Capcom has no one to blame but themselves for Street Fighter V with its really abysmal launch where it was missing like half the game. Now they're doing a lot of DLC, and it's very odd overall to see that franchise, which is so beloved, really just like crash and burn almost. I mean, guys, the last time they reported numbers, it was at 1.6 million. So that means in a fiscal quarter, it sold, what, 100,000 units or something? Not even. So it's not good there. However, Capcom did remark that the Street Fighter game that released on the Switch, Ultra Street Fighter 2, exceeded their expectations. It actually sold 450,000 units on the Switch, which is very weird, right? Because the Switch does not have the install base that the PS4 has, obviously not that the PC has, yet they sell really well on there. Granted, it's a $40 game compared to when Street Fighter V launched and it was a $60 game, but Street Fighter V now is 20 bucks. You can go to Walmart. I checked already, it was 20 bucks, but even so, that really is showing Capcom now that Nintendo and Sony, while Sony does have the install base, I get why they can't turn away from Sony. Makes a lot of sense not to. But they can't ignore Nintendo now, and they made that very clear, saying that several games are now in the works for Nintendo's Switch console. And it makes sense to me because they see that there is some buying power there to move games over. Whereas before, I could understand why Capcom, they're tentative, right? They saw the Wii U, they saw what happened there, and they weren't like rushing to the Switch right away. I get that. You want to make sure it makes sense to move games over when the market before wasn't very good for you with the Wii U. What games they're bringing over, who knows at this point. If I had to tell Capcom, bring this game over, I would say revive Mega Man and bring him to the Switch because Nintendo obviously likes Mega Man. We've seen it. They added him to Smash Brothers. They seem to like Mega Man a lot. I think if Capcom and Nintendo kind of get together and do something with Mega Man, that would be awesome. I think a lot of people would flock to the Switch for it, and they would definitely buy that game. Even if you bring back something like Mega Man Legends 3, which, by the way, I would buy a collector's edition instantly for that game. It would sell well. It would sell really well. So you know what, Capcom, if you want to do one thing right now, bring Mega Man back, get in contact with Nintendo, and make that a joint effort to really, really polish a game with Mega Man on the cover. It will sell like crazy. As of right now, though, it sounds like Capcom is going to be leaning heavily on the new Monster Hunter Worlds game coming out, and they're going to be also leaning heavily on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite going forward, at least for the next fiscal quarter, next fiscal year, for right now with announced games. Of course, they will be announcing more games going forward, but those are the big two games that they have told their investors, look guys, this is what we're banking on right now. We think it'll do well. There is apparently a Resident Evil 2 remake that's been worked on for a while now that I could see them announce beforehand as well, and then that could go into the fiscal year also. we'll wait and see. I can see Monster Hunter World's doing really well, so they don't have much to worry about there. It's more Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite that I'm more concerned about here. Also on Friday in Japan, as we most of us know at this point, Dragon Quest XI did release, and yeah, the lines, they were long, which makes sense. Dragon Quest is popular over in Japan. You would expect these kind of lines that you're seeing here, wrapping around the building out the door. It did well, as we can assume. We're going to see how well Media Create. Wednesday, we should have Media Create results, and we're looking mostly at the PS4 and the 3DS version. Which one sold better? I'm not sure. I can tell you the 3DS version obviously is cheaper, and there are more 3DSs there, so yes, there is a chance it will sell better on the 3DS, but that's not to say it won't sell well on the PS4. They should both do really well. But the big news takeaway here is they did go on record, and they finally announced, yes, Dragon Quest XI is being localized over here to the Western audience, and it's going to get a new title of Echoes of an Elusive Age. What's great is they said it's going to be actually localized into 5 different languages, including English, so you will probably be seeing it several places, which is great. It seems like they're going to go for more of a worldwide release with this game, which I like that idea. Dragon Quest XI has had a lot of hype leading up to its release in Japan. Now, they haven't really said where it's releasing. Obviously, it's going to be released in the West, but where else in the world, we're not sure. United States, yes. Where else, we don't know yet. We also don't know a time or anything. We just know 2018, it'll all be translated and brought over. I'm excited for it. And they haven't said any platforms. Now, we also have to assume that, well, the PS4 is a lock, right? We know it's coming on PS4. But is it going to also come over on the 3DS and the Switch? Or is it just going to come over on the Switch? Or is it just going to come over on the 3DS? We don't know right now, so that's where it's going to get interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on this situation and see when they announce which systems and just when it's coming. No boy, if you didn't think the Pokemon Go Fest situation could get any worse, it does, because apparently they're filing a class action lawsuit against Niantic for the festival and how bad it was. So what's happening here is at least 24 Pokemon Go Fest attendees are going to be filing for a class action lawsuit due to travel expenses, things away from the ticket reimbursement and the $100 in Pokecoins. They are looking more for, well, I spent $1,000 to get here because I flew in from another continent. We need that money back. And this is where people are they're kind of divided here, because there are people on one side that say, yes, they did not deliver on a smooth experience right away for people, and you should get your money back. And then there are also people over here saying, well, if you travel to a concert and they cancel it and refund your ticket price, they're not going to give you money back for your airfare because you chose to spend the money to get there. That was your decision. So should they be responsible for how you got there? That is the big question right now that kind of people are arguing over is yes, you should be reimbursed for your travel. No, you shouldn't be, because that's your responsibility. I think the big thing to take away here is there are people who are just really mad about how that situation was handled overall. Yes, they refunded the $20 ticket, but yay, I guess. And then the $100 Pokecoins, sure. And now it's really up to them for how far they take this. Are they going to actually win? Do they have a case here? I don't think they do, personally, because, again, it was their decision to spend the money. Let's say they flew first class. Are they then responsible for your first class ticket, or did they pay a coach price instead because you decided first class? Who knows, right? Maybe they pay you you should have taken a train because it was cheaper, guys, or the Greyhound or something. Who knows? I don't know how this is going to happen or go down exactly, but people are seriously mad here, and it looks like they have an attorney in Chicago, and they're going with it, so it's going to be interesting to see. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this one. Do people have the right to have their airfare, for example, refunded to them because of how poorly the festival was handled? Let me know, guys, in the comments. And our last bit of news today, we have the Crash Insane Trilogy. Good game overall, right? It has all the older Crash games, and it plays well, and it looks good. And now people are still kind of beating the drum about when is it coming to the Xbox or the PC, because it seems to be a timed exclusive according to a lot of people. We've seen box arts, for example, leak. We've seen retailers leak things about an Xbox version. And now we have apparently a UI artist put out a video randomly for some weird reason that has Xbox button prompts in the menus. So now people are freaking out because there are Xbox buttons that you press to do things like select your menu or jump or spin. And now everyone automatically assumes that this means that an Xbox version absolutely is showing up. And really, the way I look at this, okay, sure, it's possible because Sony doesn't actually own the rights to Crash, right? Activision is mostly the owners of that IP. It's not Sony. great. But would Sony have some sort of timed exclusivity for the next year, and that's why we're not hearing anything about it? Or did Sony put money in to help develop it to keep it solely on the PlayStation platform? I don't know. What I can tell you, though, is what they showed us could be something from a dev build, for example, because, of course, you develop on a PC and then you move it over to the console of choice. In this case, though, this could also be leading to a PC release because Sony doesn't seem to care as much about PC versions, and we see it with Ni no Kuni 2, for example. So why not? Why wouldn't it go to the PC instead? But of course, this could be an Xbox version. Hard to say. I will say that this video definitely threw a monkey wrench in the whole thought process because now people seem to think it's confirmed. I can tell you it's not yet until Microsoft or Activision or whoever come out and say, it's coming to the Xbox, guys, get ready. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me think about anything we talked about today, whether it is the Capcom financial results and what appears to be their shift away from Xbox or Microsoft, for example. They are going to support them with Monster Hunter World, but one of the pieces that they did release was that, hey, Dead Rising still is not at 1 million units. That's a problem. That was once a proud franchise that sold well for them. That has done very poorly. Dead Rising 4 came out before Christmas time. That should have been a hot seller on the Xbox platform, and it hasn't been. And now they're seeing things like Nintendo's platform that has a very small user base really kind of creep up on the others. Street Fighter V not doing well. But I'm curious what you guys think they could even bring to Nintendo's system. Is that where the Resident Evil 2 remake is going along with the other platforms? Hard to say. Very interested on your thoughts there. Also about the Pokemon Go Fest lawsuit. I can't seem to figure out, because there's so many people on either side, if the attendees have a right to sue for their travel fare that they themselves chose. Let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.